In the dim glow of his bedroom, a young boy sits cross-legged on the floor, eyes fixed on the screen as he maneuvers virtual monsters across a digital battlefield. He had played other games, similar games even, but for some reason, this one was different. For years, this boy would return to the game, each playthrough unlocking new strategies and refining tactics, and as the years passed, the boy grew, but his love for the game remained steadfast. A timeless testament to the enduring magic of small yellow eggs with hairy balls inside. Hi guys, Dino here. Let me tell you about my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh game you very likely never played. Today's video is about Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monster Coliseum for the PlayStation 2, why I adore it so much and why you should probably give it a try too. Let's dive in. What exactly is Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monster Coliseum? Imagine chess but with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Coating. A turn-based strategy game featuring all of your favorite characters from the anime, including all your favorite monsters from classic Yu-Gi-Oh! While there are no hands to play cards from and no spell or trap cards to place on the board, each monster has a variety of stats like attack, defense, and most importantly, PP. Yes, it's called PP in this game. What was I supposed to do, not tell you? They also have different movement ranges and patterns, adding a new layer of strategic possibilities. You win by either destroying all of your opponent's pieces, or by destroying the main piece called a symbol. Almost like chess, right? Personally, I think this genre works great with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, but it does feel like an odd choice, doesn't it? After all, most Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games follow the rules of the card game, even if sometimes rather loosely. Why not this one? In the previous video we've already covered Forbidden Memories and its somewhat official sequel and successor Duelist of the Roses, both predating Capsule Monster Coliseum. But even before Forbidden Memories, the concept of capsule monsters was already around, at least in Japan. In fact, the very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game ever made was Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster Capsule Breed and Battle, released in 1998, followed by a similar title for the Game Boy 2 years later. Since I was around 40 days old when it released, and since I'm very likely not Japanese, I never played Breed and Battle. Anyway, today we all know that CMC is the third game in line featuring this not-so-original after all twist on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, but there is a reason I put these three games in order. To me, it always felt like Capsule Monster Coliseum is sort of an evolution of the concepts from Duelist of the Roses. Sadly, this guy does not make a return, but we will always remember him fondly. Duelist of the Roses introduces different game boards where you can move your cards around strategically. It also introduces different map tiles, including power-ups and downs depending on different monster types. And suddenly, monsters can have special effects, just like in the card game, allowing for even more possibilities. CMC builds on a lot of these principles, introducing even more stats for monsters, including different movement ranges. The boards are larger and not always the same size. They also feature different tiles that power up and down your monsters, but introduce unique board mechanics on top of that. Some of them can really impact the flow of the duel. Also, there's way more variety with the aesthetics of these boards, with their backgrounds, and each of them has a unique soundtrack tailor-suited to the atmosphere of the board. Listen to this, for example. Or this. Or this. I find that incredible for such an odd and unorthodox spin-off game. The menus are also a lot more clear and easier to navigate than in Duelist of the Roses, which was always one of my personal gripes with that game. The main map is more reminiscent of Forbidden Memories, albeit much smaller, but there is one crucial difference though. You can actually purchase cards from the shop. I'm looking at you, old man. How do you even turn a profit? We also get fully voiced dialogue featuring the original English voice actors from the anime.
Examining the monsters closely.
For some reason, playing a card game has caused me to become severely injured.
In the German translation, they also made the effort to hire the same actors from the anime dub.
Ich werde all meine Kräfte nutzen, um dich zu besiegen. Ihr werdet mir jetzt die nächsthöhere Stufe beibringen, klar?
Ich weiß, dass wir selten privat plaudern, aber Sie und ich wissen, es liegt daran, dass Sie ein Riesenarsch sind.
Incredible. I loved this as a kid. Another influence from Forbidden Memories is the Guardian Star system, which is basically a slightly more convoluted rock, paper, scissors situation. In CMC, this is present in the form of the attribute mechanic, but this time it is a core principle integrated into basically all aspects of the game. Let's take a closer look. When you start a new game, you have to choose one of 8 elements. Yes, one of them is called wood. Apparently wood is a central element in some East Asian cultures. Oddly enough, I never questioned this as a kid, but I'm also a massive Digimon fan, and if you've seen the 4th season of the Digimon anime called Digimon Frontier, you might remember that they had 10 core elements for their spirits, including all of the other attributes from CMC, but also steel and ice. Make of that what you will. As I said, these attributes work on a rock, paper, scissors basis, meaning that each attribute has an advantage over another attribute. Your key piece, also referred to as the symbol, is of the attribute you choose in the beginning, and even though you can play any monster your Heart of Cards desires, you should probably mostly stick to monsters of your symbol's attribute.
So only having monsters of a single attribute is dangerous.
That's my grandson.
Don't listen to Grandpa, he's old and senile. The reason why this is preferable is because your symbol has a stat called Effect Strength, which you can increase as your symbol levels up. Yes, your monsters and symbols can level up in this game. Effect Strength basically means that your monsters will gain or even lose stats based on their relationship towards the attribute of your symbol. If you have a dark symbol and increase Effect Strength, your dark monsters will gain attack and PP. It's called PP, I'm not joking. However, Earth monsters would lose stats because darkness beats Earth. Get it? Honestly, Grandpa does a poor job of showing you these relationships, since this graph is really needlessly complicated. If you arrange them like this, it's a little bit more clear, isn't it? Each of your opponents also has a main attribute, although they often play very questionable sets of monsters on their side. Grandpa here plays Earth, but has not a single Earth monster in his team. Told you, old and senile. The flow of the game is very basic. You go from one opponent to the next, fighting them on their unique maps with their unique field mechanics. You win the fight by either destroying all of your opponent's monsters or by destroying their symbol directly. Once you win, you can take a few of the monsters you destroyed for yourself, and over time the shop also fills up with fresh capsules you can add to your arsenal. Your monsters become stronger by leveling up over time, however you can also evolve them into stronger forms, sometimes resembling ritual summoning from the card game, and of course fusions. There are specific requirements for these mechanics and you probably won't get them randomly, so be sure to look them up if you're interested. My favorite fusion summon in this game is by far Exodia. Since this game features no actual hand where the usual Exodia effect could take place in, Exodia is a standalone monster you can obtain by acquiring all 5 pieces, leveling them to a certain point, and then combine them all into one. How cool is that? In this game, some monsters can even unlock special abilities at certain levels, and Exodia can use Obliterate. I love it. These rather specific features aside, CMC is a fairly simple game. You play chess with classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Vanilla monsters. This concept works surprisingly well in my opinion, and I find it quite sad that we never got a follow-up game to explore these mechanics even further. Maybe soon, Konami? Please? If you play it for the first time or do another nostalgic run after many years, you are guaranteed to have a good time. If you've played it numerous times like I have, however, some of the game's flaws will become increasingly evident. CMC is not without its problems. Depending on your experience, your playstyle, and the opponent, a fight can last anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes. If you play more reserved, it will take longer to get into proper action, resulting in the game feeling rather slow at times. This is probably not an issue if you're an experienced player, although that brings up entirely different problems. Capsule Monster Coliseum is way too easy. Seriously, if you know what you're doing, you could probably beat the game with some crazy restrictions like, I don't know, only using Karibos? Don't believe me? Wait for my next upload. The lack in difficulty is due to a few reasons. First off, leveling your monsters is overpowered. When your monsters level up, certain stats are increased. Which ones exactly depends on the attribute, but what's equal for all of them is a neat little stat called AE rate. This will impact how much your monsters are influenced by attribute effects, including the stat increased from your own symbol. This would not necessarily be an issue if the opponents also played monsters of increasingly higher levels, but aside from a couple level 2 or level 3 monsters here and there, they just don't. I assume this was a decision made in fear of the game being too challenging for completely new audiences, but who knows. The result is an endgame you can easily outlevel without any form of grinding. Not that the game allows for any grinding anyway, because it doesn't. You can win each fight once, gathering XP and monsters, and then you have to move forward. Any duels you play in the free mode won't have any impact on your story progression. The second reason for the low difficulty is the rather nonsensical enemy lineup in most fights. A lot of opponents will have very weak capsules with very odd attribute combinations. There are other small components, like the AI doing very questionable things occasionally, monsters looking strong and powerful but often just costing more AP to move or attack, rendering them not really worth the trouble. And why does Joey play 4 Fire Reapers? Couldn't they have thrown in like Flame Swordsman at least? Once you finish the story, you can replay it with the same save file, sort of like a New Game Plus. This will make it even less challenging though, as there is no extra difficulty to unlock, no secret boss fight to grind towards, just nothing. Replayability is not exactly CMC's strongest suit, as the only reasons to replay this game are to pick up monsters you missed the first time and to try out all the attributes. But therein lies another issue. The attributes are pretty fucking unbalanced. Someone even made a tier list, you can check it out on YouTube. Some stats are just flat out better than others, like attack or PP. The descriptions of what the attributes are supposed to do are also rather peculiar. Light is supposed to be all about powerful special effects, when in reality a lot of these special effects cost way too much AP, have way too short ranges and only last one turn. You'll find yourself in very few situations where using these makes any sense. There are some exceptions of course, but they're not even light monsters. Truthfully, all of this really becomes only relevant after you've played this game a lot. It is disappointing though, as I can come up with a lot of different possibilities how this could be improved with very minimal effort. Slight rebalancing, changes to the enemy monster lineups, higher levels for later opponents, a New Game Plus mode where all enemies, monsters and symbols are maxed out. This game holds so much potential, but PlayStation 2 games from 2004 are seldom subject to updates, and a spin-off title like this one has basically zero chance of getting a remake. For all of us CMC veterans though, there is hope. As we've seen in my previous videos, it is often left to the players themselves to take matter into our own hands. And so, one day, while doing research for the Forbidden Memories video you should definitely check out afterwards, I stumbled across the few mods for Duelist of the Roses I never knew existed. And then, on a complete coincidence, I found out that someone named Oak made a mod for CMC a couple of years ago. Ladies and gents, let me tell you about the Libra Mod. First off, I want you to hear the words from the developer themselves. Libra Mod is a rebalancing mod for the game Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monster Coliseum. In order to offer more challenge, replay value and monster variety, every duel in the game was rebuilt. Some duelists' elements have changed, their monster lineups have been adjusted, and the monsters and levels were strengthened. Every duel is designed by hand in order to offer a challenging and fun experience for players, no matter what element is picked. Another interesting feature of this mod is the presence of extra monsters, the so-called unused ones, left incomplete by the development team. They were used in some duels, and if you get them early on, you're lucky. I can't quite put into words the feeling I got when I stumbled across this mod. This is basically addressing every single thing I ever wanted for this game. Oak, if you see this, thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I know this mod will not reach a lot of players, but know that the ones it does truly appreciate it. Back to the video. As you just heard, the Libra Mod improves on most of this game's flaws. Oak is also developing 2 new modes, one of which being the New Game Plus mode, which is essentially what I described earlier, scaling up all enemies to be very powerful right from the start. It will even offer exclusive monster drops that are otherwise unavailable. The second one is the Challenges system, a set of difficulty modifiers that can make the game incredibly difficult and unfair, testing your ability to the absolute fullest. This mode is sadly still in early development, but Oak seems to be still active on YouTube and has recently stated that they are still working on the mod, so it's hopefully only a matter of time until we get more content for this game. Again, Oak, I sincerely thank you for all your effort you put in to offer me and all other CMC enthusiasts so much fun with your contributions. I've been dreaming of something like this for many years. I even remember googling how to mod a PS2 game many years ago as a naive, clueless child because I wanted this so bad. You made it a reality. I will certainly support you on Ko-Fi, and I hope you guys do too. Give this creator some love, they really deserve it. Now, if there is one thing that I want you to take away from this video, is that this game exists, and it's worth checking out. With all its rough edges and missed opportunities, it's still a very fun and surprisingly polished experience. And if you are, like me, one of the few people deeply in love with this game despite its problems and incredibly low difficulty, the Libra Mod is actually pretty f***ing hard. Imagine what New Game Plus and Challenge Mode are gonna look like. I can't wait. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a like and subscribe for more similar content in the very near future. While I do have tons of video ideas on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, I would also like to slowly incorporate some other areas of gaming and anime into my content here. I've been eager to release some Tekken-related content on here, so tell me if that's something you'd be interested in. Thank you so much for watching, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.